Welcome back to the LEC for Super Week Day 2. As you can see, we won't have a standard post-game interview for now, as Rekkles is ready with me to talk ahead of his game against Excel today. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, we had this talk before. I guess it's not the way you imagine the season to go for Fnatic this year. So can you tell me about what didn't work out so far and what was different from the previous season for you guys?
I think we really struggled with finding our identity in this roster, especially now in summer. I feel like we never really found a moment where we were all on board with the same idea on who was going to be the carry and what way we were going to play the game. And I feel like we've always been like kind of all trying to carry at the same time, which in a way blocks each other from carrying. So I think we just, we never really found our true identity as a team.
How do you explain that? Is it too many strong voices within Fnatic maybe, and you've never been into this situation before? Because I mean, I remember the previous instances of Fnatic with like the likes of you, so as all these strong players, and I don't see how this year would be different. So tell me a bit more, please.
I don't think it's a problem of having too many strong voices. I've had more strong voices before, as you said yourself, so I don't think it's a problem of that. I think it's more the trust between the players is not there. So even if you have a lot of strong voices, if everyone trusts each other, then one game we're all going to be on board with top carrying, one game we're all going to be on board with mid carrying, and one game we're all going to be on board with bot carrying. But since we trust each other, it doesn't really matter in the end. It's just all about winning the game and letting whoever's strong in the game basically do his thing. And I don't really feel like we have that trust in this team. So to me, it's not about the fact that we have a lot of strong opinions. It's just more the fact that we don't trust each other, basically.
All right, well, that's an issue, obviously. But when would you say you lost this trust within the team? Is there a specific moment, a specific game, maybe?
I would say after we lost to G2 in the finals, we lost the trust between each other. I feel like we all kind of, well, we didn't expect to win, but we thought that we had a good chance of winning the spring split, and we basically got smashed in the finals. And I think then everyone in the team felt like the next step for this team is that I'm the carry. And then when everyone says that at the same time, it basically just blocks each other from being the carry. And to me, it's not even about who is supposed to be the carry. Like, basically what I mean is, I don't think there's a right and wrong here. I don't think it's about bot or top or mid or jungle or support. I think it's just, you need to find something that everyone's comfortable with and then just go with it. It doesn't matter if it's top. As I said, it doesn't matter what it is, actually. It's just everyone needs to be on board with the same idea, and I feel like we lost that after we basically got smashed in the finals.
All right, well, I mean, you know what's missing, so how do you get back to this form? You've been in difficult situations before, right? So is there anything you can channel from previous experiences that could help you here?
I tried a bit yesterday, I guess, with trying to split push a bit, sort of like 2017 style, and it didn't work at all. So yesterday's game was quite obviously on me. But for today, I think we have a better idea of what we want to do, and hopefully with just like a win or two, we get some confidence going in the team. And depending on how those wins go, like let's say today like Gabriel goes off or something, then I think we can really easily then latch on to top is our carry. We're gonna make sure he has a counter pick. We're gonna give him the ganks, give him the resources, and then go with that. So I think it's actually just all about getting like one win or two, and then from there we can ride the momentum.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's about finding the momentum, and you may have lost a few games now, but it's not that difficult of a situation. And I mean, I remember the interview we had at Worlds before the second week, and I'm like, historically, Fnatic performs better under pressure, so maybe it's one of these times as well?
I think it might be. And I have a feeling as well we're going to be a very different beast in a best-of-5 setting, so fingers crossed that we make it to the playoffs. Fingers
crossed indeed. Well, good luck for today, Rekkles, and thank you very much for the interview.
Great to hear from Rekkles and from Laure, of course, and what a game we have ahead of us. Today has been steaks, 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 Vedius. It's been like going to a barbecue and just gobbling up all that deliciousness, and there are even more stakes for this game.
You didn't prepare that, did you?
No.
You had so many options, so many different ways you could take it.
I couldn't use the steaks.
Gobbled it up! Ooh! Wow, all right. We're in for an interesting day, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we have already had some pretty exciting stuff happen today. The Schalke Miracle Run is still alive and kicking. SK just qualified for playoffs, and now we're in, of course, for another high-stakes game with XL versus Fnatic. Now, Medic, you are our playoff checkup guy, so why don't you give the audience the down low?
Okay,
4-1-1.
Okay, we'll start off with an XL win. right? If XL win, they lock playoffs. And it means that Schalke would have their destiny in their own hands tomorrow. If XL win and Schalke win tomorrow, Fnatic would be eliminated from playoffs and Schalke would be in. That's crazy. I know it is. However, if Fnatic win, no one locks today, or none out of Fnatic and XL, but Vitality and Misfits would be eliminated from playoffs contention. So we would shrink the pool of teams competing for those final 2 spots.
So as you might have gathered, this is quite an important game for the playoff standings. The game previously, you know, I think that had Origin won, we'd still be in a very crazy playoff scenario, but because we now have 4 teams locked in playoffs, there's only 2 spots left, Medic, so things get all the more competitive. We're going to be jumping straight into draft. Rekkles talked a lot about how he felt that everyone tried to be the carry, they weren't on the same page. Well, if you're ever going to be on the same page, today is the day. They didn't show up yesterday, Medic. Let's see if they can show up today.
And I think the question that I have to ask when we get on into this draft is, will we see Fnatic revert to comfort again? We've seen it over the last couple of weeks. They're currently on a 3-game losing spree, and comfort is great and all, but comfort has to make your players play better, has to make them play as if they're on something comfortable, and Fnatic haven't been doing that.
It's definitely true. We'll have to wait and see. Looks like some of these comfort picks will be banned away. Gangplank taken away from Bwipo. Thresh, of course, still very strong in the current meta. Camille going to be taken away from Kryze after his performance yesterday. Ezreal going to be banned away because of how strong he is in the current meta. And with the Volibear gone as well, what will Fnatic round out their bans with? Still a lot of things open, my friend. Things like the... Well, immediately I'm looking at this Orianna pick. Very prevalent, very powerful. I think that it's something that's special. Hasn't had the best of performances on, but I do think that it's high priority. It's something that XL will likely want to grab up, and lo and behold, there it is, first pick for XL.
And even though he hasn't had standout performances on it for himself, they've only won with it. XL have played it twice and won twice with that Orianna, so it's quite possible that he just facilitates the team when he plays it.
Could very well be, but now we have more OPs open. Caitlyn and Senna. I would imagine that Senna's going to be the priority here. We know that Rekkles does love to play that champion, and it's something that he's grabbed a lot, and because it's open, of course, Fnatic are just very quick to grab that. Now, the question is, where do they take their draft next? Do they go for an answer in the mid lane? Do they want to try and get their support early? Like, there's a lot of room for them to go, and often Fnatic prioritize things like jungle here, and they save their 2 soul laners for the last 2 pick. And it looks like they're going to stick with that trend, and they're going to lock in the Kha'Zix.
Hey, you've been on point with the predictions so far this draft. We'll see where XL decide to go next. Of course, AD carry and support tend to be things that you want on this second rotation.
Kalista is open for Patrik, though. Yeah. That is a really big pick for him in the bot lane. I know that whenever he has the opportunity to get aggressive, he's going to take it, and they're immediately going to lock that in. So already you're seeing... We talked about comfort. I feel like XL are getting their comfort picks right now, and they have the choice where they can either lock in a jungle, and they're going to round it out with the Taric for Torre. He had a great performance on that last week. It was the Kalista Taric bot lane that they won that 2 versus 3 on. I believe it was against Misfits.
It was.
And that really is where that snowball started for XL. So you're giving Patrik and Torre this comfort pick, and you know XL is sitting back at home and thinking this is very comfortable for us right now.
Oh, in a great spot, but there's Syndra for Nemesis. Second time he's played that this split, didn't win on it last time. And what I did just quickly want to mention as well, the power of Taric into a Senna lane is you can kind of match a healing. Actually makes it a lot easier if you just take a little bit of poke, heal up, and then still land stuns, because Dazzle isn't a point-and-click ability. You can put it around where the Curse of the Sad Mist sits.
I do think that that duo also scales pretty well, because the Taric ultimate can be very valuable into these late game team fights, and it can just buy you so much time for the Kalista to just build those Ren stacks up and turn fights back in your favor. Now, this Syndra pick, I do think is often very good into the Orianna during the laning phase, and I'm always a fan of seeing Syndra paired up with a strong early game jungler like a Kha'Zix. It gives you a lot of early game agency, and it already suggests to me that Fnatic is looking to play through their mid lane. They're likely going to pick something relatively safe towards the bot side of the map. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like a Tom Kench ban right now for XL. Largely because I think that when paired with the Senna, it's one of the go-tos. The only thing then is Fnatic would need some form of engage. So XL could also consider an Ornn ban. But it looks like they're going to stick with the Shen. Okay.
Yeah, getting rid of the Shen, getting rid of some of that safety for the Senna. It's not a Tahm Kench, but the Shen shield can do wonders, and we've already seen Shen Kha'Zix team up so well.
That's very true. We saw it earlier in the day coming out from Odoamne to pretty strong effect. I feel like Shen is a pretty strong laner as well. Ooh, okay, the Rakan pick coming in the bot lane. That's a little unexpected. Well, I suppose that when you look at Hylissang as a player, it's not unexpected. This is actually one of his best champions historically. When you think of Hylissang as a player, Rakan and Pyke are usually the two champions that you go to when it comes to strong performances from him. And while I don't think that it has the best synergy with Senna, I definitely know that it fits into the wheelhouse of Hylissang.
Yeah, from what I can see, 49 games on Rakan in his competitive history, 71% win percent on that champion. So Hylissang very much on comfort. There's the Sion in the top lane for XL. Kryze actually going towards more of a tank, which is not the role we usually see from him on this team. Usually it's like Camille or Vladimir, something that can carry a little bit as the game goes on.
Could be full lethality Sion. We're yet to wait and see what he builds in the game. But yeah, right now I think that XL have a pretty well-rounded comp. They have strong frontline, they have engage, they have good team fighting. I'm kind of debating how I like the Lee Sin. I think that when paired with an Orianna, it's not the strongest. You do have some gank setup there, especially if you can force the flash out from the Syndra early. But I think that this Lee Sin's purpose is primarily to play through the bot side of the map, making sure that you have some early game presence so that you can actually try and get Patrik and Torre ahead in the 2 versus 2.
The final lock will be Cho'Gath in the top lane for Bwipo. Obviously saw how powerful Wonder was on it yesterday and wants a little feast of that action as well. Of course, Bwipo very experienced on the Void Beast in the top lane.
Yeah, I was thinking about a Cho'Gath and I was like, well, I'm a little worried about how much engage Fnatic would then have. Fortunately for Fnatic, they do have Hylissang on this Rakan to actually kick off fights, but we'll see how these fights are going to play out because there's they're both pretty interesting comps. I think that XL have slightly stronger team fighting, but Fnatic have a couple more early game options, especially with their mid-jungle duo and their ability to play through top. So I think this map is going to be divided in the early game minute. Okay. I expect Fnatic to play through mid to top side, whereas XL will largely play through their bot lane. And depending on where each team finds those advantages, I think will be a big indicator of who's able to come out on top in this game.
One last game for XL to lock playoffs. We'll see if they can do it. They play Fnatic right now. And after a short freeze frame to take a photo, we're going to get on to the action. And I want to talk a little bit more about the Kalista, especially into a Cho'Gath, because something I have seen a few times over the last few splits is just when Kalista gets ahead in the early game, she can be a terror. Yep. But when she starts building into big tanks, when Cho'Gath gets really beefy, she actually can struggle to take down these larger opposition.
Well, so there was a period in time where Kalista was actually really good into tanks because do you remember the Rage Blade era of Kalista? And so what you would do is you would build stacks on the tank because the tank could never get to you. And so you would then build all your stacks up and then you'd basically use the tank as a means to then move around the fight and then you'd be applying loads of stacks to everyone on the enemy team, right? But since you don't build Rage Blade anymore, there's an argument to be made that Kalista is weaker against tanks. But then the debate then comes back to is how threatening is that tank to Kalista?
I get that.
Now this is why Cho'Gath is often considered very good because not only does Cho'Gath have a lot of tools to lock down the Kalista, but also you run Glacial Augment, as you can see right now for Bwipo. You go for the Ghosties, and you also go for the Hextech GOP, and you basically have all these extra slows, which hurt her mobility. Yep. On top of that, you then have that follow-up CC, which is very easy to land. So typically, Cho'Gath is considered quite a good champion into the Kalista. But again, it largely depends on how strong the Kalista is after the early game, which is why I think that when we look at the early game, these early plays are going to be very important. Now we can see Caedrel has started on his blue. A very common path for Lee Sin is buff into one huge objective, something like the Gromp, and then you get that early level 3 and then you can look for a gank. We can see Kha'Zix doing a very similar thing towards the bot side of the map right now. Red into blue, and it looks like that's going to be into Gromp. Because Selfmade is doing all these solo camps, he's going to clear them very quickly. What's interesting here is Caedrel is actually doing a full topside clear. So I've been talking to a couple of junglers recently, and the thing you have to think about when doing these early clears, right, is if you assume Patrik and Torre have early priority in this lane, it's very important for Selfmade to actually clear his bot side jungle early, because if he doesn't, there's the risk that they push, invade, he then loses all his camps.
I get that.
It also just makes sense for a Kha'Zix to do that side of his map sooner because of the bonus isolation damage he can get. So while early it may look like he's pathing towards bot, what he's actually doing is, I've got to make sure I get my camps, lock them down, get that gold, get that XP, and then he's going to path back up towards top, hover around mid, play for that topside scuttle crab, and then it kind of goes into our expectations of where the junglers will be in the early game.
Yeah, it's what you talked about in Pick and Ban. You're expecting this kind of split map where XL mostly play through the bottom side and Fnatic mostly play through the top side, and Selfmade's expecting that too by making sure that Torre can't get into his jungle and spot out some of these camps.
So now, by popping this blast cone, XL have full information of what's happened. With the wolves gone, XL's like, okay, Selfmade's definitely not here. He's probably done this, pathed up towards top. Caedrel's then safe to take the bot scuttle. And then, of course, Hylissang and Rekkles have to play safe. Meanwhile, Patrik has done a bit of a Cheeto recall, gone back to base, quickly grabbed a cull. And you can see that they're looking to try and increase that gold investment, while Selfmade now looks for a gank top.
Kryze does have the flash here, should be able to get away. The rupture's already been used. Kryze almost dies, that's the flash.
Yep.
Almost taken out.
So things kind of going as we expected in this early game for Fnatic. Very effective gank there from Selfmade. Bwipo letting the wave push in to force Kryze to overextend with no jungle support. Very easy for them. And now Caedrel's looking to do the same thing on the other side of the map. And look at the wave state here, Medic. It's very awkward for Hylissang and Rekkles to approach, because if they overstep, XL's primed and ready to start that fight. But Fnatic have all the information that they need, and we can see Selfmade on the minimap starting to make his way bot.
I'm pretty sure Caedrel knows he's on a ward by now, especially now the Gleaming Quill hits him. One of the powerful things about Rakan is you can be a little bit more aggressive in these situations, even if you would usually get caught out, because you have the battle dance, you have the grand entrance, you've got that ability to escape. So you can see Hylissang will always be the one on the front foot out of the two of these people in this lane.
Ooh, look at Selfmade here.
Managed to sneak in towards the bottom lane. Patrik and Torre just going to try and clear out this minion, but it's still pushing towards them. There's still a cannon there, has just been hit. But the wave is still going to move towards XL.
You can gank this. The problem is for Selfmade right now is the state of the wave, that he wants that wave just a little bit further so that the minions wouldn't spot him out, but he realizes, okay, I'm wasting too much time now. My camps are respawning. I can't commit to this. I thought there may have been an opportunity here. It's not going to pan out, so I'm going to go back to my jungle. So far, things going pretty well for Fnatic in this early game. They've been able to not suffer at the hands of Caedrel's early ganks, meanwhile also getting Kryze's flash out in the top side of the map. So kind of things comfortable for Fnatic, I would say, for the time being.
Would you say they're comfortable for XL as well? Because, I mean, they can get a lead early on, and of course, on a Kalista, you always want a lead. But with him going back to buy a cull, it feels more like XL are in this for the long haul.
Well, it's 5 minutes into the game, right? So it's one of those things where if they don't have a lead now, it's not all doom and gloom, right? Level 6 is always one of the big points that you're looking for with the Kalista when it comes to actually trying to make plays. And it's just like, when we talk about advantages in this very early game, of course, we're talking about very small ones as well. I would say the big advantage right now for XL is that Special's going very even with Nemesis, which, when we look back at the last time they played, Special was in the opposite matchup, where he was on the Syndra and Nemesis was on the Orianna, and Nemesis got obliterated in that matchup. Huge CS discrepancies. So the fact that Special's going even, very good from him. Now, Hylissang is joined with Selfmade. Very classic Hylissang move. I think Kryze is dead.
Yeah, I think he is as well. He's going to use the unstoppable onslaught underneath the tight. Great
nice
flash into the grand entrance. Hylissang is the reason this guy's got 70% win rate on Rakan. That was superb stuff.
So, yeah, I wanted to talk about this and we missed our window, but level 4 back roam for Hylissang. Yeah. Very common on his Rakan. He does it on Pyke all the time as well. I kind of expected him to go mid lane to utilize the level 6 power spike of the Syndra, but instead he goes top with Selfmade. They know there's no flash for Kryze, and Fnatic draw first blood.
What this does do, though, is make it very easy for XL to get the push in the bottom lane and go for this Cloud Drake. They can keep that Cloud Drake timer ticking, and something XL have been really good at in the last few weeks is taking early objectives. In fact, if you look back at the first half of the split, their first 4 weeks, they were taking about 20 to 30% of the dragons in their games. In the last few weeks, when they've started to win more games and they've started to climb up the standings, they're actually taking around 60 to 70% of the dragons in their games. So I think they have found this strategy of focusing around this neutral objective, and it seems to be working for them.
Yeah, it certainly is. We'll see if it pays off in this game, as they have a very good deep ward here on the blue buff of Fnatic's jungle, identifying where Selfmade is. We can also see Caedrel hovering around the mid lane. Thought he might look for a gank there, but it looks like that is not the game plan for now. Going to path up towards top. He knows that his blue buff is alive and likely wants to hand that over to Special. but he could also look for an invade. I like this as well. He knows that there's a push up in the top side of the map, and with Orianna having information as to where the Syndra went, they know that this should be a relatively safe steal.
I actually think it's a really cool timing window as well, because remember when we talked about how Caedrel did his full top side clear into them moving to the bottom side and taking his red, and he knew that Selfmade was doing this camp into camp. It meant that Caedrel had it. Yeah, it could be a dive. Meant that Caedrel had knowledge of the window. Dragon's Rage into the knockup with the axe, and goodbye Bwipo.
That was clean.
Yeah, that was nice.
That was clean.
That was nice.
I love that Kryze set up the knock-up first, and then Caedrel's like, no, 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 where do you think you're going? Kicks him straight back into it. Bwipo doesn't respect the flash. The chain CC comes through from both of them, and then Special gives a shield over to Kryze so that he can get an assist as well. Of course, Fnatic will be able to answer by stealing away this red buff, but the execution on that dive, very good from XL, and I think what you said, the timing and the window there from XL was very good.
All comes back to the early jungle pathing. Rift Herald has been started by Caedrel. He went straight from top lane towards that, and he should be able to get this before Bwipo comes across. Bwipo was looking for the Feast. The Rupture's going to miss, and Caedrel will just be able to walk out. Bot lane, you could see Torre and Patrik gave a lot of space. They knew they were on the weak side of the map for a moment. They backed away, but they are still pretty even in terms of gold. Let's see where any discrepancies lie. A 200 gold lead for Nemesis in the mid lane, about 300 in the support role, about 30 or 40 in the AD carries, but nothing major here yet.
No, still very even between the two teams. Because of Special's roam, Nemesis was able to catch a wave that Special wasn't able to get back, which is where that small discrepancy was able to form. One of the big things that I do want to draw attention to is yesterday, when we saw Wunder play the Cho'Gath into Sion, he actually went for the tank Titanic Hydra build. That definitely makes him stronger when playing up against other tanky champions. Yep. Of course, when you're going for the Glacial Augment build, you're much squishier because you're building a lot more AP, which means that Sion can have a lot more presence in this lane, and that's where you're seeing Kryze actually have a lot more agency, where he just basically can throw his health around in this matchup and kind of force Bwipo to play a little bit more on the back foot.
Yeah, Sion, just one of those champions that benefits so much from stacking health, from getting extra health from his Furnace, his W. Actually forgotten the name of it. That's a shame. Soul Furnace. That's what it's called.
Sion W, yeah.
Yep. Entirely correct. And Vedius, while we have a moment here, I just want to reiterate some of the stakes of this game.
Yep.
A few people might be just tuning in now, might have not seen how we built up. If XL win, they lock playoffs. They also make it that if Schalke win tomorrow, I'm going to bring this down because there might be a fight. Fate's Call used as Hylissang goes in with a quickness. The Dawning Shadow coming out as well. Selfmade looking with the Void Assault to see if he can find an engage, but he's been forced away. And Vedi is coming. It's coming back up, my man. It's coming back up. If XL win, they lock playoffs. They also make it that Schalke winning tomorrow would lock Fnatic out of playoffs and would lock Schalke in. If Fnatic win, no one locks right now, but Misfits and Vitality are out. They are done for. They cannot make playoffs.
So, a lot on the line in this game. For a number of reasons, as Medic was highlighting. And right now, things are pretty much dead even. Fnatic, with the slight gold advantage, doesn't really mean a huge amount at this point in the game. XL, they definitely want to be getting Patrik ahead soon. You can see that they're grouping up around the bot side of the map. Kryze has TP. They're looking for a potential flank, but they don't commit to it. No dive going to come through from XL, so they're going to continue to play it safe for now.
Well, they're trying to just gain all of this control towards the bottom side. One, to feed Patrik, but also because they know that Infernal Dragon's up in about 30 seconds. Caedrel jumping in. Dragon Rage kicks Selfmade away, maybe wondering if Selfmade could jump back in with Nemesis coming in from the side.
I think the goal there was simply to get a health advantage over his jungle counterpart. This will force him to reset and also give a lot of agency over this bot tower. So as we can see now, Patrik and Torre are going to secure themselves likely 2 plates. They're going to clear out that wave, but now Fnatic looking for a play mid.
Nemesis does have the unleashed power. Shockwave available. Nemesis is going to get pulled back, and here comes the unstoppable onslaught. Can Nemesis get away? He just about slithers to the side of it. Selfmade using the Void Assault will escape as well. Dodges back. Soul Furnace just chips him away, and the Rift Herald used in the bottom lane. And that health advantage is something that really stuck with me because we saw XL do it against Origin yesterday as well. Patrik using the ace in the hole and damage from the Caitlyn to chunk out Xerxes before one of these neutral objectives.
Yeah, perfect. Well done, regardless. Of course, Selfmade then healed back up on the Raptors, wrapped around mid, but then a really good shockwave came out from Special to keep himself alive. Did, of course, cost him his flash, but XL, net win for them. That's their second Drake of the game. Still at a slight gold deficit, but they're sitting pretty right now. That 4 Drake win condition is very real for them. as they continue to mount these up. I think that the next Drake is obviously going to be where our next big fight is, because Fnatic don't want to give those 3 Drakes over. And I think that they'll be getting closer to some of their big items as well.
Yeah, you can see one item already complete on Rekkles. Hylissang just going to get chipped away at a little bit here. Patrik not in range for the Rend, and Caedrel once again looking down towards this bottom lane. They're trying to break this turret as soon as they can. Hylissang in good position. I will give him credit. So far this game, he has been reading the map really well. He's been making sure that Rekkles can't be caught out, and he had that really good roam towards the top lane.
He certainly did, but with the amount of pressure that's being thrown towards bot right now, he's definitely keeping close to Rekkles, making sure his AD carry is safe. And for now, they're going to hold on to this tower. Remember, 14 minutes is when all the plates drop. Of course, XL have been able to secure a number of them, but Caedrel not giving up.
Guess who's back, Vedi? Caedrel's like, hey, I know we want to play around bot lane. He has got the Dragon's Rage. He hit Rekkles with the Sonic Wave. Hylissang's going to step forward here with the quickness, perhaps thinking that Selfmade can get there in time, but Caedrel can just jump across the wall. Had the shielding as well, and this turret's going to fall. Selfmade, oh no, it's not. They're being safe. They do not want to give Selfmade the opportunity to jump in and get any of these kills. Oh, also Bwipo was back in base, and I don't know if XL had the TP timer, because it's almost off. So maybe they were respecting Bwipo TPing.
I mean, they also respected that they didn't have info on where Selfmade was, so Selfmade was also pathing down towards the bot lane as well. Yeah, they're taking their time. They know that tower's going to eventually drop. Rift Herald spawns relatively soon, I think. And I would imagine that the swap from XL will come up to top side, so that they'll take all the early game neutral objectives, similar to what we saw them do yesterday.
That's great from them. And while we have a moment as they reset, I want to ask you guys at home a question. And it's a very important question to ask, because we have never seen Fnatic miss playoffs. It's never happened in the history of the organization. However, there is a very real possibility they do it this time. So guys, spam in chat. Will Fnatic make playoffs? Yes or no? Usually these questions are a little bit jocular. Usually they're a little bit jokey. This is not. This is super serious. Could be the first time in the organization's history that they do not make it to playoffs.
Ooh, here we go. Knock up onto Torre.
Shockwave's going to come out. Torre is dead.
Good pick comes through from Fnatic. They're also looking to secure this mid-tier 1. I love the collapse from Bwipo, of course. XL continuing to push the wave in bot, so a lot of farm could be lost here if Fnatic do not reset in time, but it gives them control around the Rift Herald, and they should be able to grab this objective. Oh, I don't like this play. Selfmade, yeah, okay. I think the smarter play there is... Selfmade has the damage, but I think that he's wasting time going for a pick that I think is unrealistic.
Yeah.
And then that could give XL an opportunity to actually come back and challenge this Rift.
XL might fight this. Unstoppable Onslaught's coming across. Like,
that's true.
Kryze is here. Bwipo does have TP. He's going to use that straight away. Nemesis coming down from the top lane. Selfmade trying to get the eye proc. 1,000 HP left on the Rift Herald. Sonic Wave hits from Caedrel, he's jumping in, it was secured, I'm not sure who got it. The knock up onto Caedrel, he's gonna get knocked back. Torre going in, has the Cosmic Radiance. Caedrel able to escape towards the bottom side, and Fnatic did get the Rift Herald, picked up by Bwipo. XL, stun into the Rupture! Double for Bwipo, out of one more on for Selfmade, and Fnatic find a great fight.
It looked very close initially. Caedrel was almost able to get that steal off, but XL, one stun lands from Nemesis, the follow-up from Bwipo, and Fnatic find themselves 2 quick kills, and they're not slowing down here. After securing mid, after securing the kills, after securing the Rift Herald, they are looking for a tier 2 as well.
Up the tempo, Fnatic, they're pushing in with this Rift Tower charge. Might even be able to take the plate here. Hylissang has a Demolish proc available, and that tower is done for. 2 quick turrets in the mid lane. Kryze doesn't... Well, it does have the Unstoppable Onslaught. The TP coming in. Kryze, you got to pop it now. He's running. He's speeding towards Hylissang, but he can just dodge away. Still the knock-up lands. Decimating Smash. Rekkles flashes away from it, and Hylissang will die. Not really much you can do in that situation. Bwipo pops the stopwatch to get away from the dazzle. The shockwave too early, but the Decimating Smash will find its mark. And XL have managed to get a shutdown on Bwipo and find a couple of kills.
So XL are able to grab themselves 2 kills, and fortunately for them, the Drake spawns in 20 seconds, which means that XL are in a prime position to secure their 3rd Drake of the game. So Fnatic, while going for that tower, they end up overstaying, and what could have been a great opportunity for them to snowball the game away, XL see that window, and they return the aggression in kind. A lot of back and forth trading now coming between the 2 teams as we approach the mid game, but you can see even though Fnatic has the kill advantage, has the gold advantage, XL 1 Drake away from that soul.
Man and Soul can be so useful, especially into a Syndra. You know, you're blocking out some of that unleashed power. We'll have another look at this, because Fnatic were definitely on the front foot. And then we see Bwipo starting to recall. We see the TP coming in from XL, and we can see that unstoppable onslaught, that lumberjack. He's trying to knock over some foes.
Yeah, he gets a really big knock up here, and what's crucial is that these TP wards are littered throughout the river for XL. They have so many options, and the fact that the TP could come through from Orianna really just sets up that collapse and forces Fnatic to split. So really good engage there from Kryze, the follow-up from the rest of XL to get themselves two very big kills.
And while we were looking at the replay, we did see Special almost fall, had to burn his flash, but I want to come back to the question we asked you just a couple of moments ago. Will Fnatic make playoffs? Let's see what the fans think. 60% of our audience think Fnatic will not make playoffs for the first time ever. And I can't say I blame them, Vedius.
Well, it's insanely close, and with how XL have been playing recently, it's I understand why that sentiment is the way that it is. I was reading through the comments yesterday, and a lot of Fnatic fans, the most common question is why?
Yep.
Why? So right now, I think Fnatic is playing a pretty solid game. Of course, they did overextend a little bit just there, but for the most part, I think that they've been very good. But I like the fact that XL are also answering in kind. I like their aggression. I like some of the plays that they've made, the early tower dive, the fact that they were able to catch the overextension here from Fnatic. And you can see they're not slowing down either. They're going to secure themselves another tier 1 tower. They're a little bit behind in towers versus Fnatic, but with only the mid tier 1 left, again, XLs, they're feeling okay for the timing. The biggest problem for XL right now is that this Kalista didn't really find any big early game advantages. We saw Caedrel invest so much time towards the bot side of the map, but it never really resulted in any kills or that many plates, and this means that Patrik is only just recently completed the Blade of the Ruin King, now working towards the Rune and Hurricane, and once those two items are completed, that's really where this Kalista comes online. But the Senna is ahead in gold. The Senna's going to continue to scale up. The more stacks she gets, the more range she gets, the harder she gets to kill, but Kryze has found the flash.
Rekkles does not have flash. Decimating Smash going to come down. The stun lands from the Dazzle. The Shockwave didn't connect. Caedrel wasn't able to go in, but the Rekkles chase is still on. Dragon's Head kick is going to knock him away, but Caedrel jumping forward, and with the final swipe of his fist, he will take down Rekkles. Caedrel is on a killing spree, and perhaps not the target you want all of your kills on, but XL is still finding those picks.
Yeah, another really big pick from XL here, and a big punish onto Fnatic. The fact that they were able to catch Rekkles out when he did not have his flash available was just a very well-executed play, and the fact that Kryze invested his flash over the red buff wall, Rekkles definitely was not expecting that one to come through. But special Sjokz waves, we've seen 2 now that have missed. This is not the first time we've seen a lot of Orianna ultimates miss from him, and with the amount of stakes that are on the line in this game, he needs to be on the ball with those with those Orianna shockwaves. Selfmade now caught out Caedrel.
Caedrel's trying to dodge around, flash in, and Selfmade swipes away the kill. Bwipo's like, anything Kryze can do, I can do better. Jumps forward and will help Selfmade secure that kill.
So constant picks back and forth. Both teams kind of going toe-to-toe, but it's Fnatic that keeps accelerating this Goldie. 3K now. Jungler is dead with a Kha'Zix plus the Cho. They should actually do this pretty quickly, and they have the effectively double smite available to them. Fnatic really trying to accelerate this game.
It's a little dangerous, though. I mean, Torre has the does not have the Cosmic Radiance. Patrik has the Fate's Call. Kryze has the Unstoppable Onslaught. And if Orianna comes across, that's a Shockwave just waiting to happen. Hylissang, you got to use the quickness, which you don't even have. Rekkles caught out on the backline. Decimating Smash stopped by Hylissang. Great grand entrance by him. Torre going in. The Shockwave will pull Selfmade back. The first smite comes out. There's the feast as Cho secures it. Bwipo gets it. Fnatic secure the Baron, and one kill goes down, but the kills rain in the opposite way. Fnatic get 2. They're looking for more as Hylissang pops the quickness, but there is a blast cone. The kick back into the smash, and Hylissang will go down because Selfmade clean this up. He gets 1. Looking for the jump, looking to get back into this fight, and Caedrel and Kryze are running on the wrong side of the map. Selfmade going forward even further. Void Spikes coming out. Caedrel hits the Sonic Wave, gonna dodge away, but with the last embrace, you see Kryze locked in place, and now Fnatic continue just to leap forward. Selfmade helps Rekkles to a kill. Kryze goes down, and Fnatic find an incredible fight in the river.
And it's impressive how Fnatic were able to convert that single pick off to a Baron rush. This is very much the Fnatic that many fans are used to seeing, I would say, because it all started with getting that kill onto Caedrel, knowing that the jungler is dead and having both the Feast and the Smite. Fnatic saying, okay, this should be very difficult to steal, and notice how Rekkles does get zoned off. Really good knock up there from Hylissang to keep Rekkles alive as well. But Patrik, there's very little that he can actually do in this fight. Good shockwave from Caedrel, but from Special rather, but he couldn't kill Selfmade. He didn't take that Smite away, and even if he did, Bwipo was still there to land the consume. Fnatic also deny the Mountain Soul away from XL, and a lot of this game, Medic, has just been pick after pick after pick, and the question has been, what can you do after you find that pick? It feels like Fnatic have been able to secure huge objectives, which resulted in massive map control, whereas XL have only been able to find these kills, and now Selfmade's going to find another one.
Wow.
Yes.
That was quick.
That is Kha'Zix, that is level 13, and yeah,
it does quite a lot of damage, and you have to wonder where the Selfmade's been for the last few weeks. I've seen him more running his face into his opposition than taking them out, and this is the perfect time for him to show up for Fnatic. 5-0-4 on the Kha'Zix. Fnatic looking more like their former selves, although nowhere near the level that they were at the end of spring.
Now, we want to remind viewers at home, in the event that XL lose this game, that does not lock them out of playoffs. If they are able to turn it around and win, they will lock playoffs, but their chances are still very realistic, even if they end up falling here.
Also, Fnatic winning here does not lock Fnatic into playoffs. However, it would lock Vitality and Misfits out of the running. Very important for Vitality and Misfits that XL win. Would also mean that Schalke have their fate in their own hands and could eliminate Fnatic tomorrow. But right now, it's looking like Fnatic are going to take this one. We have seen them make mistakes in the past, but with a 6,000 gold lead, they are in a very strong spot, and their composition is just so good because all Nemesis has to do is threaten the unleashed power at any point. Rekkles now has absolutely crazy range on the Senna. It becomes very difficult for XL to find and engage.
It certainly does. Fnatic utilizing the Baron well. They were able to secure all of the tier 2 towers. They now sit with a 6,500 gold lead. You can see the total gold, very favorable for that of Fnatic.
Just slightly.
Just slightly. Death Cap now completed for Nemesis. Locket of the Iron Slurry also completed for Bwipo. The Athenes completed for Hylissang. Okay, that's pretty interesting.
So it's there are mixed thoughts on it as a Rakan build. People that like to be a bit more aggressive on the Rakan like the Athenes because the amount of damage you do, you then get more healing out of it and you dash back. I have seen Redemptions, which is probably what you usually think of, or even Mikhail's in certain matchups, but Athenes is something that you see on Rakan every now and again.
Yeah, no, I think that it can make sense. Just not something that I've often seen. So that's interesting insight there from my Rakan main himself.
I need to get back to playing League. He's been buffed like 3 patch. Well, he's been buffed 1 patch and then he had 2 buffs in inverted commas. But I'm looking forward to playing Rakan again. He's a great champ.
I think Hylissang has had a very solid Rakan performance. Very good roam up towards the top. A lot of his engages have been good, and definitely considering how he's gone kind of from Hilly God to Hilly Int from week to week, I think the Fnatic fans are pretty happy to see him playing well, especially when this game has so much stakes on the line. Now, the Baron, of course, has ran out. XL still have the ability to play for next Baron and play for Mountain, but Fnatic are trying to deny XL as much as possible. They're going to start off with the blue buff. They're going to force XL to go the long way to get back to their base, and notice how they're keeping all 3 lanes pushed in. Going to bring up the minimap for you, and you can see how top lane is pushed all the way down to here. You can see that mid lane is constantly being pushed in. You can see that bot lane is being pushed in by the Syndra. Also, Nemesis has the teleport. So much pressure is being put onto XL, and the whole point of this is for Fnatic to deny jungle camps, make entering the jungle scarier, make setting up vision that much harder. And it means that even if XL reach certain item breakpoints, it doesn't matter if you have to walk face first into the enemy jungle where there is a Selfmade literally lying in wait to execute.
Is that his taunt?
That's his laugh, actually.
Oh, that's his laugh. Okay. I don't play enough Kha'Zix to know. He might be laughing his way all the way to the bank. Oh, Caedrel with a great check. Edge of Night will stop.
So I was curious as to whether or not he would know that because it hits the Edge of Night.
You hear the sound.
But it still makes the sound, yeah.
And also, I don't know if that was a full-length Q because it would stop early as well.
True. Yeah. You're probably right. In any case, that only comes from playing a lot of Lee Sin, that's for sure. Now, Selfmade though hasn't given up.
They're on a ward. They're on a ward. They're on a ward, and Selfmade's going in, but the dazzle doesn't quite land. Selfmade's going to jump away. Rakan is round the corner. Selfmade might have to flash out of this. Bwipo's on the chase though, and here come the Twin Shadows. Nemesis coming in from the bottom side as well. There is the Cosmic Radiance as the re-engage might happen. Fate's Call use. Selfmade just flashes straight across the wall. Rekkles is going to join from the top side. Patrik's going to have to flash to get out of here, and Torre is left all on his lonesome, but an incredible quickness into the knockback. Goodbye, XL. Patrik gets taken out by Rekkles. It's a triple for him. Kryze is going to get chased out as well. They're looking to try and give the quadra to Rekkles, and he might even be able to get it across this wall. Kryze continuing to dodge, hit with the last embrace, and Selfmade will swipe away the kill.
He's going to deny the quadra away from Rekkles, but I think Rekkles isn't going to complain too much about that after a dominating game from the side of Fnatic. A beautiful knock-up from Hylissang into what should be the base crumbling for XL. Fnatic are looking good. Let's take a look back as to how this play happens. Selfmade, he gets very confident here. XL, as you highlighted, Medic, which is sitting on a ward. He uses his ultimate just as the control ward drops, sneaks in there, and then realizes, okay, no isolation damage. I can't actually go for this play. And then he's just patient. He's just waiting. He's waiting for the rest of his team to join. Hylissang is there to offer protection. And then the moment XL try to engage on him, he flashes out. Now XL is split up. And this is where Hylissang comes in clutch. He lands, he sidesteps any of the damage coming out from the Sion. He then flashes in, 3-man knockup. Nemesis then flashes in, kind of messes up the combo a little bit as he tries to get as much burst damage down as possible, but at the end of the day, it all works out for Fnatic, and then Selfmade just denying away the quadra.
It was just this multi-pronged attack from Fnatic, and I looked at it, Patrik didn't even get auto attacks out. Like, he got one auto attack out in the entire fight. The shockwave wasn't even used. Like, it was so well played from Fnatic just to duck in and dodge out as they needed to, and XL could never find someone they could hard engage on, because otherwise they'd just be flanked.
Yep. And yesterday, XL were put in a very difficult position where they were able to crawl their way back into the game against Origin. And if Fnatic just decide to slow the game down, then maybe there's a world in which XL can find that same sort of comeback. But given the current state of the game and the rate at which Fnatic is playing, it feels like with this Baron, Fnatic is looking to close things out within the next 2 minutes.
You've got 3 items complete on Nemesis on this Syndra, Rabadon, Spellbinder, and the Ludens. You've got Edge of Night, Duskblade, and another Serrated Dirk for Selfmade. And then Rekkles has almost 4 items himself. Got himself an early execution is calling this game just to try and reduce some of that healing coming out from the Taric. But once again, you see Fnatic are doing the 3-lane push. You have first Nemesis in the bottom lane, Selfmade's clearing out the wave in the top lane, and then Bwipo and Rekkles teaming up here as Hylissang acts as kind of this floater. Like, he could be bot lane, he could be mid lane. Where's he going to engage from? And that's the power of Rakan and the power of Hylissang's Rakan especially.
So, let's have a look at the minion waves right now, because what Fnatic want to do is have 3 waves, or at least 2 waves, crash at the same time. Can we quickly pan up to the Kha'Zix? Notice that he's not actually killing the minions himself, he's just letting the Baron-empowered minions do it. The reason for that is because the faster he pushes that wave, the faster it's going to hit the town. Now you'll see all 3 waves hitting at exactly the same time. Oh, it's so rare that you actually see this. People are just so hungry to just kill the minion waves, but now you have 3 points of pressure, forces XL to split up. Fnatic now breaking into the base, they're threatening that inhibitor. They come bot to deal with this wave. Oh look, top lane, another wave is hitting, and it's just spreading XL thin, making it that much easier for Fnatic to get into the base.
Yeah, Fnatic already able to crack open that bot lane tier, that bot lane inhibitor tower. Special's trying to clear out top. Kryze by himself, trying to get towards this cannon minion in the mid lane, but if really not too much you can do. That inhibitor tower's going to fall as well. Inhibitor chipped away out in the bottom lane as Fnatic continue their assault, continue their aggression. 40 seconds left on this Baron, 40 seconds left perhaps on this push, as Fnatic continue to look towards playoffs. A win here does not lock them, but if they win here and win tomorrow, they are guaranteed playoffs. They would be in no matter what. And they would be so happy after some of the performances at the end of the split to make it back into playoffs, to get into those best of 5s where they have historically performed. Fate's Call used by Patrik to get away from Hylissang. Once again, Hylissang finding those engages and getting those ultimates out.
Well, that was kind of the engage that Fnatic needed to secure themselves an inhibitor. I think the XL was still able to keep the mid inhibitor alive.
It went down.
Oh, it did end up going down. So 2 inhibs go in favor of Fnatic. I think that they don't need to wait for the next Baron. They can definitely wait for the next Drake if they really want to, but they're in such a strong position right now that they have everything that they need to end the game. The last thing they want to do is like wait a little bit too long, but I also understand how Fnatic, after what seemed like they were playing very fast. So when you hit 15 minutes, it felt like Fnatic was just like pick after pick after pick, objective pick. Like it seems like that they've slowed down just a little bit now because they don't want to make that crucial mistake, which, you know, we've seen many teams do before, and it seems like that they really want to secure this win. Of course, we've said so many times how important this game is in the context of the standings, and Misfits, who will be playing up next, they will end up being denied playoffs if Fnatic are able to secure this. So Misfits kind of hoping for an XL miracle turnaround right now.
Misfits and Vitality both looking for it. Caedrel hits the Sonic Wave onto Hylissang, but really can't do anything about the fact that Hylissang has littered this blue side jungle with vision. And it looks like Fnatic might be waiting the next 2 minutes just to make sure that they secure this Baron. Involved wings, it seems, from Selfmade as he's looking for some of these resets in the fight. Caedrel, Patrik, and Toy are going to try and do what they can, but once again, Fnatic, they're just tentatively putting feelers in, being like, hey, are you guys here? Do you have vision here? Okay, cool. We can back out and we'll just clear the vision where you can't get to it. And XL, really, they just can't step up, right? You can't step out of your base when there are two waves of super minions pushing it.
Exactly, and also their jungle doesn't belong to them. They've got a couple of wards littered around the place, but the fact that Special can come out this far, I think, is actually surprising. Normally, even just kind of leaving and being that far extended is a very dangerous thing to do. But it's kind of awkward right now for Fnatic because, like, they recognize that, hey, if we lose a fight, we can end up losing Mountain Souls, so we want to make sure that we secure that. Now Baron spawns in a minute. So it seems like Fnatic is taking this extra safe. They're just going to wait the next minute for the Baron to spawn and then use that to try and end the game. But the thing is, Special now, 3 items completed. Fully stacked Seraphs, the Death Cap is finished. The Kalista's at 3 items, and of course, like, there's a huge level disparity here, and the Lee Sin really not going to offer the same value that a Kha'Zix will in these team fights, but, you know, like, there's a world in which one good shockwave could, like, swing the momentum back in XL's favor, so, you know, Fnatic slowing this game down quite a lot.
Yeah, I don't blame
that XL kind of got into a position where they can actually challenge them.
I don't blame Fnatic for being tentative, but there is tentative and then there's waiting for the perfect moment. And sometimes perfect moment doesn't come, and sometimes Torre walks straight into you. Face call used here as Selfmade's jump forward. Bwipo fighting off towards the bottom side. Cosmic Radiance going to come down. Dawning Shadow used as well, but the Cosmic Radiance will be there. However, Torre stunned up, locked down the Dazzle. The Shockwave hits onto Rekkles, but he's able to flash away. Selfmade diving in as Patrik tries to open up, getting those shots off with the Runaan's. Bwipo might fall here. The render yet to come out. Oh, jump straight into the rupture. Patrick's gonna fall. Selfmade goes forward, and here we go. Reset after reset. Selfmade's trying to get the damage in. Hylissang once again hits the knockup. Kryze diving forward. Selfmade healed up with the Athenes from Hylissang, and Kryze will die. Fnatic now have a 4-on-1 to win this game, to eliminate Vitality, to eliminate Misfits, and to get one step closer to playoffs, and they are gonna take it. XL had their shot at locking in playoffs, but they're gonna have to wait for tomorrow, because today, Fnatic will take the win.
A very big win and a much needed one for Fnatic when it comes to the race for playoffs. A well-executed game overall from Fnatic. I felt like that there were moments where XL were trading blow for blow, kind of finding a pick here and there, but what Fnatic did with their picks compared to what XL were able to do with theirs, you could just see the stark difference. Every single time Fnatic found a kill, it was kill into turret, kill into Rift Herald, kill into whatever, and there was a point where it was kill straight into Baron. And then the moment they got that, it was just snowball after snowball. And as you rightly said, Selfmade with a very good performance, much needed after what has been a difficult couple of weeks for him recently, especially when it comes into how Fnatic have been playing, but it definitely seems to me that Fnatic are a lot more on the same page today.
And that's the hope for the Fnatic faithful out there. You can vote for your Kia player of the game at LEC on Twitter. Bwipo, Selfmade, and Rekkles are your options. All of them have pretty good games, in my opinion. I think Selfmade is probably the most obvious choice, just because he had a really good KDA. His Kha'Zix was popping off.
Really good KDA, end point.
I'm a play-by-play. What do you expect? Yes. We'll soon discuss more about Fnatic's win, as they just took a huge step towards playoffs.
charged up. Hello, everybody. Let the game begin.
Welcome back to the LEC as Fnatic increased their chances to reaching playoffs here, and I have Mithy with me to talk about this victory and Fnatic as a whole. How are you, Mithy?
I'm good. I'm relieved. I think now we have a pretty good shot at making playoffs. So yeah, life is good.
I can imagine. I mean, does this game match the expectations and gameplay you had coming in today?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really know what to expect. I knew there was a lot on the line, but yeah, I'm very proud of the guys because they stepped up when it mattered, and yeah, it's good.
Tell me about you. It's been a while since we had a talk. I mean, I think last time was in spring, I guess. So what about the challenges and experience you had as a coach this split this summer within Fnatic?
It's been very hard.
Yeah.
When you're in a team like Fnatic and you are expected to win, right? And then you start losing some games, things got things still are, but really got out of control. And we were trying to figure out a way, didn't really have like a plan and so on. And I think a lot of it is on me, like my inexperience to kind of like lead the team through like the hard moments. But you know, it's a learning experience for me too. And I can safely say I'm trying my best. So and so is everyone in the team. So yeah, I mean, I think sometimes it's just like a matter of like getting one win when it matters, and for us to ramp up from here. And I think this might be it.
You say that it's on you also as a coach because of your inexperience, but I want to know, I mean, there's obviously something you learned through this, right? If you think that you were missing something.
Oh no, I mean, of course, like this is it's for sure a big learning experience for me. It's like coaching is definitely not an easy thing to do, and there's like a lot of ups and downs within the split, and we have been in a big down as a team, but trying to pick ourselves back up now, and I think this win is a place to start.
Yeah, it's never easy, especially with the black and orange jersey, as you said. And I mean, talking to Rekkles before the game, something you want to say about that, maybe?
No.
Okay.
That's it. It's exactly what you said. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, Rekkles was mentioning the fact that you guys lost confidence a while ago, actually, after finals. So I get that this is an issue that you try to address, but I would like to know how, from you as a coach, like inspiring confidence again to your players. How do you do it?
I think the thing is, at some point, it doesn't really matter how much confidence you try to inspire if the wins don't come along, right? So at the end of the day, it just comes down to us getting together and trying to figure out what is wrong. And eventually when the wins come in, then you can start seeing some progress. And it's really hard to see progress when you keep losing, right? And I think that's kind of what happened to us. And we were changing things a lot. I mean, we still are changing things a lot and trying to find what we're good at or what works for us. And, the best of one system also doesn't really help with the like experiencing and trying to experiment, because sometimes you have an idea coming into the weekend, and then the first game you play you lose because of something that maybe has nothing to do with it, and then your confidence gets crushed. And I think that we've been a bit unfortunate in some cases, and I think it's hurt our confidence a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that echoes also what Rekkles was saying, the fact that you might be stronger even coming in best of fives here. But I'm going to ask a question. I don't know if you can answer this, but I know sometimes teams try things in scrims, and when they show up on stage, even if it's online, it doesn't come across the right way. So would you say that you've been performing better on scrims than on stage, and might be the reason that you were into the wrong direction sometimes?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we as a mere example would be like the Soraka Graves thing. I think we had like super high win rate in scrims, and then we went on stage, lost both games, and then that kind of crushed like our confidence of like, oh, we spent so much time trying to make the Soraka Graves things work, and then we try this other thing, and then it also doesn't work. And maybe if we played double the amount of games, we would be like, oh, actually it didn't work this game, but it worked this other game, so let's like try to fine tune what works and what doesn't. But because we have this we just have to go and perform that game no matter what, then when something doesn't work out, our confidence gets crushed. And it's also been hard for me to tell the guys at some point, like at the start, it's okay. I can tell the guys, okay, let's try it again, like we did with Soraka Graves. But when we lose 2 games of it, or when we try something else the next weekend and then we lose the first game, the guys are like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, or I don't know if this works anymore. And then, when we start doubting ourselves and doubting each other, then things get worse and worse. But, like I said, it's just a matter of like getting one game and seeing the guys play and perform in one specific game like today. And then they can look at each other and be like, oh, wow, well, you actually did so well, and I did so well, and everyone did so well. And it's just a matter of like getting a little bit lucky and having a good game to get the confidence going.
Yeah, I mean, I agree on that, and hopefully this win today was the one you needed to get back on tracks and approach the last game of the split on the right angle, I would say. Thank you very much, Mithy, for the interview, and I wish you good luck for the last game tomorrow. And for more on this game, let's send it over to Sjokz and the Analyst. Take it away, guys.
Wonderful interview. If it was any time to get back on track, I believe it is actually now, because tomorrow is your last game and you may be out of playoffs. However, very introspective. Mithy also saying, mea culpa, maybe I was not as experienced in the role and we're like figuring it out together. We'll talk about that at length. First, I do want to talk about, I see your face, so we're definitely going to talk about that at length. First up, though, I do want to take a look at the standings and to see which implications this has as a result of Fnatic's win. Misfits and Vitality are now eliminated out of playoff contention. So Fnatic, XL, and Schalke are still fighting for the last 2 spots. So if Fnatic and XL win tomorrow, they secure playoffs and Schalke are out. An update on the Schalke miracle run. They now have to win versus Mad Lions and still then have to rely on the other results to make it into a possible tiebreaker. It's complicated. It's harder for Schalke, but that's why it's a miracle run.
That's the thing. It's the likelihood. They have to beat the best team in the LEC and then hope that XL.
What do you mean
and
Mad
Fnatic
Lions have to beat the best team in
Oh,
the
the
LEC to
LEC.
prevent them from making
Nailed
playoffs?
it.
I want to take a look at this game and then the picks and bans that you guys also have prepared. And just think about the thoughts of Mithy, right, in retrospect there, and also of Rekkles. We couldn't find out our identity. We couldn't find out what exactly clicked, but we have in this game. Do you agree, Frost?
I think that the draft here that I really liked was I really liked the Cho'Gath pick. I actually think Excel really misdrafted. I think taking Kalista right now, especially when you know that your opponent plays a Cho'Gath, because Cho'Gath, especially with Glacial Augment, can just absolutely ruin a Kalista's day. And Ender, you said it, Fnatic got a composition with 2 champions that scale indefinitely.
Yeah, in the Senna and the Cho'Gath also both going to be rocking the Glacial Augment, which you already mentioned. So Fnatic obviously had this scaling advantage that they had, to carry them through the game, whereas Excel needed to play around that Kalista bot side. And you have a Lee Sin too, who very early into the game can hop over the Dragon Wall and play for early Drakes, which Excel were successful with. Excel needed to try and speed up the game so they could play for, a 22 to 25 Baron Soul or Dragon Soul.
Yeah, and while they were eventually, I think the first Drake was around like 630. I think that they actually could have pushed it a little bit more. Usually you go around that level 4 Drake mark, especially when you do have a Kalista. 'Cause the thing is with that composition, you have Kalista and you have Lee Sin. Your ability to secure monster objectives is insanely high, even if it is a Cho'Gath as well as a Syndra, as long as you're on the objective first. The issue is that when people got picked and when team fights went wrong, there was always going to be a timer on this composition. And basically, as soon as Fnatic got the Baron, Excel's composition was never going to come back in.
And the fight started going wrong very early on, because we have a replay we want to show of the very early Rift Herald fight that Fnatic were able to pick up thanks to Bwipo. And it was at this point where it's like, oh, we actually start to get worried, because inside this pit, Fnatic do a very good job of then jumping over on Caedrel on the wall, playing and waiting out the Taric ultimate. You can see the Taric ult does absolutely nothing there. They wait for them to walk away, and then look at this chain CC. I love it. The scout of the week from Syndra into a triple knock-up. Bwipo kills 2 with the silence. It was just beautiful.
Yeah, and it was a huge game from Bwipo, and he's kind of had some quiet performances back-to-back, and I know that a lot of Fnatic fans will point fingers at it, and they'll be really upset, but Bwipo has really popped off on this Cho'Gath.
And here's where the mistake then came in from Fnatic. So right there, it looked dire for Excel, but they split up with Selfmade going into base, Nemesis went top lane, and then off the respawn, Kryze is then sending that Sion ultimate down the middle lane. So this was actually a really good bounce back from Excel that then allowed them to get, I believe, the Mountain the Mountain Drake, which was their 3rd of the game, and put them in a really good position.
Yeah, but still, Fnatic were able to claw it back, and again, the next replay that we have is going to be the Baron fight. As soon as Fnatic had access to Baron, it just meant that there was going to be at least a 5-minute timer where Excel were not going to continue to accelerate the game. The best that they could do was play defense, and in that 5 minutes, they just got outscaled. Kalista is not going to get more powerful than 2 items, 2.5 items, and there was just nothing that she was going to be able to do against that composition. I think that this was a really big fundamental drafting error from Excel, and I think it's kind of inexcusable, especially when you have Youngbuck over there. He knows what those guys play.
Also, this could be kind of the final punch for Youngbuck to get one back for Excel, because if they had beaten Fnatic, they would have qualified.
Yeah,
But
get one back for himself too after leaving Fnatic there, because even with some of the draft errors that we're pointing out here, Excel still had 3 Drakes, so it's like, get the Mountain and maybe you can win on 3-item fights. But Caedrel gets picked before a Baron, which is absolutely dreadful for a number of reasons, because not only does he get picked, but Taric doesn't have ultimate going into the pit. So right here, it's him handing off blue buff towards Special, and watch Selfmade on this flank. It's him and Bwipo scouting with the spooky ghosts, of course, there. Caedrel recalling in a little bit of a greedy position, but you don't expect a Cho'Gath to come flying over the wall onto you, and then this opens up the Baron.
It's just it's such a bizarre mistake to make. Like you're saying, literally just backed in the inappropriate spot. As you talked about, if Taric has ultimate, maybe this is a completely different fight, because you throw down the Taric ultimate, Genax gets sent in, but Genax whiffs this very hard.
I also want to say, Genax goes completely to the left, so now there's no front lane. Patrik can't actually auto-attack because he can't really stand behind Tori. He can't get close to Fnatic, and that is the weakness
Genax?
Oh, sorry.
Kryze. Yeah, I got baited by Kryze. It's all Frost's fault.
It's
She said
my
it
fault.
first.
It's a Sion. It's either Jinax or it's Cabo Shark. It's Kryze.
Yeah, well, Kryze doesn't play Sion. I don't know why.
Anyway, this is a PG.
But you can
It's
see
clear
how
that he
hard it
didn't
is.
play Sion there.
You can see how hard it is for Patrik to fight in the 5 versus 5s because Kalista solo range, you just can't do anything against a spike evolved Kha'Zix, against glacial augment Cho'Gath. There's so much zone control that he can't actually walk into.
Yeah, sad for XL. They could have locked here, as said. Fnatic got also delivered the Kia player of the game. It was Selfmade with 60% of the votes on the Kha'Zix. Now, I want to bring it back to kind of the essence of that interview and what we heard from Rekkles as well. What is it in this recipe that you saw from Fnatic that is something that they should carry on to tomorrow?
Okay, I've got good news and I've got like some bad news.
Okay.
The good news is I think Fnatic finally played a composition where they had very clear outscaling potential. And no longer did you see Fnatic just throwing things away with terrible fights. The composition worked together, everyone was on form, like that's great
Love
news.
it.
The bad news for Fnatic fans is I feel like you did not pick yourself out of this hole. You ran into Excel, which I think are clearly the weakest team to make playoffs, if they do make playoffs. Like I'm going to say, like Schalke should definitely make playoffs. They are so good right now. But because they threw so hard in the early split, Excel might get the spot anyway just because it's easier. And Fnatic just beat the weakest team that is left available for them to face. And Mithy can't correct the course. If this team tilts off the face of the planet, like there's no conflict resolution here. And I think that's what kills Fnatic.
And on that, we'll have to take a break. Thank you for that, Froskurinn. When we return, though, we'll see if Misfits can end the season on a high note as they take on G2 Esports.
I see we ran out of time.
Yes.